The whole way that I'm going to be doing this project is I'm only going to be using two things, a web browser and a terminal window. So this terminal window, if you have Windows, you would use something like Zoc. I don't know what you would use if you were using a Mac, but basically anything, or Putty I think probably has a version for Mac, but basically as long as you have any kind of terminal software that you can use to remotely administer a Linux machine, you'll be fine. So it doesn't matter what operating system you're using. And in this case, like I said, I'm just going to be using a web browser and a terminal window. Okay, great. So first of all, let me go ahead and tell you what the project is. There are a lot of websites out there which basically allow people who are doing freelancing to go there and look for companies or people who are trying to hire freelancers to build projects for them, where someone basically posts a project and says, this is what I'm trying to build, and then they get all sorts of replies, thousands of emails from everybody who says, oh yeah, I can do that. And what I want to do is build something that's more or less the reverse of that, where someone who is looking to get a project done can go to a website where they can actually browse through the profiles of the people who can build it. People, not firms, so specific individuals who are web developers or graphic designers or whatever it is that they are. And the person who is looking to hire can go through the profiles and choose who they want to work on their project, rather than being the recipient of all sorts of messages from people saying, oh yeah, I can do this. So that's the idea. Now, a couple months ago, I had this idea, and I thought it'd be really great considering what I'm doing here as far as teaching programming, because in some sense, a lot of the people who are going through my classes are themselves going to become freelancers, and it's nice to also be working on a resource that'll be beneficial to them. So that's the idea of the project. Now, when I had the idea, I thought to myself, you know, I could go and build this. This would be fun to do. But something that has never, to the best of my knowledge, been done before is to actually live stream the entire process of building a valuable internet property. Everything from writing the code to getting traffic to making deals, whatever goes into building a business. Now, the catch on my side is that to be able to do this in a way that doesn't really create, I guess, a moral conflict of interest, I'm going to make it so that whatever revenue is generated from this project, and it will generate revenue, will go to the purpose of the whole Learn programming set of projects that I'm doing, just to kind of call it a group, put it under a group name. It'll go toward computer science for everyone, so it'll maybe at some point go toward making the site better or whatever it does, but the bottom line is that whatever revenue this generates is going to go toward that project. I wouldn't feel right doing something like this and using it to enrich my own pockets. It's not really something I'd be comfortable with. So there you go. But having said that, I will be showing you the entire process of how you could go take an idea that you have and turn it into reality. So that's hopefully the goal here. Also, though, I am going to be working on this in a professional capacity where I know a lot of what commands to type and where to get what I'm looking for already. And a lot of it, you'll be looking at me doing this and you'll be thinking, okay, wow, this is way over my head. I don't understand this. And that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's why we're doing this in small segments. Each session is going to be 45 minutes of me actually working and 15 minutes of answering questions. So a lot of what you see might seem advanced, but remember that I will answer questions afterward, and over time you'll be able to learn through osmosis just by watching me do it. So before I get started, any questions? Okay, so let me go ahead and begin here. So what I have is a completely fresh install of Ubuntu, and I went through one other process here. which is I created myself a Gmail account, which I have the email address carl@livestreamstartup.com. So this is the email address that I'm going to be using in order to, when I'm setting up different services that I'll need, tools, whatever, I'm going to be using this email address. So I'm probably going to set up a GitHub account at some point, and I'll use that email address. But basically that's it. So I have a fresh install of Ubuntu, an email address, a terminal window, and a web browser, and now it's time to begin. So first of all, if I'm going to have an online business, obviously I need to have a website and I need to have servers that are set up that I can put everything on. So I'm going to go to amazon.com/ec2 and I'm going to sign up for a free tier account. So there we go. Oops. While I fill in this address information, I'm going to briefly close the stream, so hold on. Alright, I'm back. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good deal. So just to tell everyone, after putting in the address information, I had to put in the credit card information, I had to have them call me and give a PIN and all sorts of other stuff, but not anything that is overly complicated, so you could go through the same process yourself without too much difficulty. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to try to keep everything free here. I'm half nervous that I'm going to click continue and it's going to say, okay, great, we've confirmed everything. Here's your credit card number and everything else. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, good. Alright, we've emailed you. Alright, that's fine. So I think that we can go ahead and start setting up a cloud server. Excellent. Alright, here we go. Alright. Okay, I guess I have to go through this process too. That doesn't make sense. What am I missing? Okay, that's what I thought. So where on earth is... That's funny. Oh, great. Where on earth is the actual... Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright. Yeah. If I click on this. Oh, this is getting frustrating. Alright. Instance types? What on earth am I missing here? Oh, there we go. AWS Management Console. Okay. Alright. Sign in. Thank you. Okay, this is the screen that I was trying to get to. So here we go. Now EC2. If you see a blue screen with a white Z, then probably refresh the stream. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I probably have to check my email. Yeah, let's move that over. Okay. Yeah, just let's see what they want me to do here. Now immediate access. Okay. Well, maybe that's not the email they're talking about. Oops. Okay, so let's just see if it's set up yet then. Okay, so apparently I have to wait a little while until Amazon is set up. That's great. Yeah, I did put in the credit card. Alright, that's fine. Let's go set up a GitHub account. Wait, is that? Yeah. Okay. Let's see, what else? I was kind of hoping that Amazon was going to be ready, you know, immediately. But apparently, Amazon doesn't think like that. Ah, nope. Still being processed. Okay, well, that might make this session get cut a little bit short. But let's see, what else can we do here? Got a GitHub account. Yeah, I might as well wait a few minutes and just see if it processes it. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to set up your own Amazon EC2 account, definitely that would be a good opportunity. I'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, just the GitHub welcome email, unfortunately. If I don't get a reply from Amazon within 5 to 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is I am going to just go ahead and start writing the code here on this virtual machine. At least that way we can get started on that. Curl is a program that allows you to put in a URL and get back whatever that URL would give you. I just did that to confirm that I didn't already have anything installed on this virtual machine like that. Now if I do, there we go. Okay, so what I just did, the process you just saw me go through, installed the Apache web server onto my local machine here. And now what I'll do is I will install PHP. PHP 5? And now, if I go here, see, now notice that by putting in localhost into the web browser, I'm saying this machine, the machine that I'm on. So I can still build a functional website right here on my own computer without even having access to a remote server. Now I think that I have PHP set up as well. Now the way that I can test that is, first of all, I have to go into the directory where the documents for this server are. So somewhere there's a document that has "it works" written in it, and I've got to find that. I think it's in var www, and there it is. So this is it. And you see that if I change this and I refresh this page, you can see that I know that I'm editing the right document. So great. So let's go ahead and edit a PHP document. I'm just going to confirm that PHP is installed. And I will know that. There we go. Okay, good. So PHP is installed. All right. So we at least have some progress made there. I think I set this virtual machine up for 20 gigs hard disk space, and I think 4 gigs of RAM. It would work just fine with 2 gigs of RAM. Ah, got an email. No, it's the same one. I just didn't click on it. Okay, so let me guess, this probably still doesn't work yet. Nope, and it's probably not going to work today. So we're just going to code here for now, and then tomorrow I'm probably going to... well, the reason why is because any PHP code will execute if PHP is installed, so there's no reason to do PHP info, which is going to reveal all sorts of information that I really don't need to see, when all I really want to see is that it works. Alright, so let's see, where do I want to go from here? I think I want to set up a GitHub repository, so let's do that. Alright, I'm already logged in. Now, GitHub is a site that allows you to keep your source code on it, more than source code really, but primarily source code, and it allows you to very easily, let's say you have multiple servers and they're all doing the same thing. Well, GitHub is a nice way to have all those servers pulling the exact same source code from the same place, and then if you make a change to your source code, you just go ahead and you make that change once and it automatically goes to all of your different sites. Figures. That's funny though, but yeah, not much I can do about the fact that Amazon isn't giving me that same courtesy. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new repository. Now there's probably something about my sign up they didn't like. Maybe it was the fact that I had to close my web browser and reopen it and go through the sign up again. I don't know. Alright, so let's see. I want to call this repository. I don't know. Let's just call it LiveStream Startup for now. Yeah, anyone can see it. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. Okay. Yes. You want to select this because I'm going to want to do what's called cloning. You'll see what that is in a minute. Just remember, yes, you want to check that box. That's all fine. Create repository. Okay, cool. Now, here's what I want you to see. Right now, this repository I just created, all it has is a README file in it, and the README file just has a description of it. Now, this code repository can have subdirectories and all the source code that I want it to have. And the first thing I want to do here is I want to actually grab this repository and place it onto my server here. So I'm going to create a directory for it. And I believe the command is just simply this: git clone and then the URL. What URL? The URL that's right here. I just copy and paste that URL after the git clone command. And alright, I have to install git, so I do that by apt-get install git. Yes. The other reason you want to use a code repository is that if you make a mistake, you have a history of all of your changes, and you can go back to another point in the past. You can also do what's called branching, where if you get your project to a point that you're happy with it, but you think, oh, I could actually build a totally different project from here, you can branch your project into two totally separate repositories and work on each separately. And there's all kinds of cool things you can do there. You can even switch branches. You can create a branch for developing it, a branch for testing it, a branch for production, and so on. All right, so here, now I have git. Now that command should work. And there we go. All right, so now we see, I have a second LiveStream startup directory. I always forget about that. All right, so now we see that we have this readme.md file, and it's the exact same file you just saw over here. And now I know that I have the ability to synchronize between here and here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and create a file. First, I'm going to move this directory a bit. I'm just going to reclone it here. Why not? Oops. Okay, there we go. All right, so I just undid the second directory. In fact, I don't really need that. Okay, so now I have the directory LiveStream startup, and I can see that it works by going here. And there's the README file. And it wants to open it in Notepad. I don't need to do that. The point is it works fine. All right, so let's go ahead and try creating a test file here, just to make sure everything works. Now, I add that file like this. I give it a message here. That's what the commit-m is for. It's just giving it a message. I can say whatever I want there. And the last thing is it wants me to run these two commands, which I'll do. Just git config global user.email carl@livestreamstartup.com and user.name. And that's just so it can, so if you have more than one person working on a project, you want to know who's committing what changes. There's also a great Git tutorial right on GitHub. Let me show that to you real quick. Let's see, explore, where is it? Wonder if it shows it to me when I'm logged in. Yeah, it's called Try Git. In fact, here, let me just Google for it. There you go. Is that it? This is it, right here. No, that's not it. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so it's right here. This is a great Git tutorial that, just remember that URL. Cut and paste it into the stream. Yeah, mental note, I can't cut and paste from my virtual machine there. And just so you guys know, that URL won't work. I was trying to set up Twitch earlier and I never finished it. So, alright, anyways, there's the URL. I don't have my virtual machine configured to cut and paste from the virtual machine to you guys, so just, there you go. It's also the, well, there you go. Alright, so now, let's see. Now what I want to do is I want to actually commit the changes that I just did to the main GitHub repository. And right off the top of my head, I don't remember the command to do that, so I'm just going to look it up real quick. Let's see. Yeah. I don't think it's git clone, it's git checkout? I don't remember. Let's see. Oh, that's right, okay. Yeah. I believe I would do it like this. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's the whole point of doing this whole thing live. I think. Let's see. No, this isn't right. What am I doing wrong here? Right. Git push. Right. Okay, there we go. Okay, git remote add origin. And then it would be LiveStream startup.git. Okay, git push origin master. Yeah. Remote original. Oh, right, because this is if I'm creating a new repository, which I'm not. Let's see. I could always do that. Why not? Yeah. Ah, there we go. Awesome. Alright, why does Git not like me? What? Oh, that was funny. Alright. Oops. It doesn't like me at all, does it? Alright, fine. Well, that's what Google's for. So Why is it doing this? Of course. Okay. There's my .get. Okay, so get remote add LiveStream start of 3. Wait a second. All right. So I'm going to start by creating a brand new repository here. Okay. Wow. Yep. All right. So GitHub absolutely hates me, and I am not having much success here. All right. Where's that URL? Exactly. All right, let's see. So here is my repository. This is my git clone URL. Okay, I know I can clone it. Cloning is just fine. Okay. Cloning is fine. So, oops. Okay, that works. Now I make a change and I want to push the change live. How do I do it? Cloned GitHub, made change, push change to GitHub. Alright, one of these should tell me. Right. You can update the URL to one of the right. Okay, that's not going to matter. That's not going to matter either. Alright, so. Okay. Push origin master. Is that all I have to do? Push origin master. That'll be hilarious if that's all I have to do. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so that's all I had to do. Alright, so let's see. Oh, I obviously put in the wrong password. There you go, and that's how you do it. So just to recap, all that I just did, apparently in the back of my mind, I thought I did this, but I didn't. So, all right, so here we go. So I'm going to go through the whole process again so that it's clear. All right, so we start out where we have an empty directory, but we created our repository at GitHub. The repository at GitHub is here. So this is the page with the repository on it. And now this is the URL that I'm going to clone. That part is easy. We just type git clone that URL. It asks for the username, password usually, but since it already remembers it, and actually it's public, so it's not even going to worry about it. All right, so now we can see that it works. And if I want to, here, let me go. Oh yeah, right, because the test.txt was what I submitted earlier. So now I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to call it test2.txt. And now in order to get this file into the main repository, I'm just going to do the following. First, I have to add it. Now I have to commit my changes. Give it a message. And now git push. What was it? Come on. Git push origin master. There you go. And then you put in your username and password. There you go. Okay, so now we have this much. Okay, let me know when the ad is done playing. In fact, I think there's an option I can just play the ad right now. Where is that? I don't see that option. Oh well. Alright, well if anyone is in the middle of an ad, just let me know and I'll stop talking until the ad is over. Just let me know. Okay, cool. Let's, for the fun of it, see if Amazon has decided to let me have access to their servers yet. Nope. Alright, well if that continues, I'll just go ahead and create a new Amazon account later on between now and the next session. You guys already saw the process to go through. And so I guess the next step is now we can start going ahead and writing some code. So let's see. I'm going to use git remove test2.txt. Really? Oh, I wrote remote instead of remove. Remove test2.txt. Delete test2.txt. I guess I just RM it. Okay, good. That's how you do that. And then just git commit -m. Oh, right. That's okay. It was rm. It was git rm. I knew there was something I do in that respect. Okay. Okay, and git push origin master. Okay. And there we go. Alright, so now my entire repository consists only of the file readme.md, and I am ready to start creating the basic foundation of what will become an MVC framework. So let's see. So first of all, I am going to close all these extra windows. Actually, I'm going to leave my Gmail open, so where is my Gmail? I don't see my Gmail. Alright, now I'll close all my other windows. Okay. And I'll open up GitHub. MVC framework, which is short for Model View Controller, which we'll get into all of that in a little while. The goal here for this MVC framework is that I'm going to want, so that if I go to localhost slash, let's see, LiveStream startup slash, whatever. Let's pretend we had a website working and I had www.livestreamstartup.com slash, and I have maybe something like account slash account info, maybe a page like this where you would log in and you would see your profile or maybe things like that, or maybe I have account slash profile, things like that. So in a very general sense, what my MVC framework is going to allow me to do is to create this kind of structure where the URL will be read and it will be determined what it is that I'm trying to do, and there will be different classes to handle different things that I'm going to do. Yeah, I explained what the actual app is earlier, but just very briefly, it's going to be a website that will allow people who have skills like web development or programming or whatever to post profiles, and then people who are looking to hire can go through those profiles and choose who they're going to hire, which is going to be a big difference from what generally is out there right now, where people who are looking to hire go and post their project and they get 1,000 emails from people who say they can do it. So that's basically the idea. Now, LiveStreamStartup.com is just going to be devoted to this side of things, which is the actual live stream. So that's a website where I'm going to put the live streams on, video recordings, things like that at some point. Right now I really just register the domain as a proactive measure. I haven't really done anything with it yet, and I don't know if what I do with that domain will happen during these live streams or not. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the next step. So let's see. What I'm going to want to do is create an Apache .access file, and right off of the top of my head I don't remember the syntax that I'm looking for, so I am going to log into one of my other servers briefly and look at a file that I already made, and that'll only just take a minute, so hold on here. I am going to have to turn off the stream briefly, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. So, this is the specific syntax that I was looking for. I'm going to be putting it over here, so here we go. Okay, rewrite engine on. Rewrite condition. And rewrite rule. Move this over. And there we go. Okay, that should do the trick. Alright, what this does is it will mean that anything someone plugs into the URL is going to be processed through index.php, which doesn't exist yet, but it's about to. That's all it is right now. There we go. And now if we look at the GitHub page, under my repository, we can see that the index.php exists. Now the .htaccess I don't think will get uploaded here because it's a hidden file. And the reason it's a hidden, see if I type ls, I don't even see it, but if I type ls-la, there it is. Now if I really want to add it into the repository, I can do that by specifying it directly, but I really don't need to do that. So let's see. Alright, so now we have, this is probably the last thing that I'm going to do here. Now this isn't going to work right now because I haven't yet told Apache to use htaccess files. It's probably turned off by default. I'm pretty sure that it is, but just for the fun of it. Okay, see, if this was working, instead of this saying not found, it would have actually processed through index.php. So there's a few things I have to do right now. The first is I have to enable mod rewrite. I believe I do that like this. Yep. Okay. A2nmod rewrite enables mod rewrite, which is where you see right here, rewrite engine on. That's mod rewrite. So I have to enable it. All right, now the next thing is I probably have, let's see if that did the trick first. Nope. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is I have to find my Apache configuration file and tell it to use htaccess. So first, I think it's here. There we go. Allow override none needs to be all. Yeah, I'm just going to set it everywhere. All right. And now it should work. Yep, there you go. Okay, that's where we'll stop today. I figure with the different pauses and everything, it probably turned out to be maybe about 30 minutes of me working. But here's what we achieved today. We set up an Amazon EC2 account, sort of. I'm sure that it will be set up by tomorrow. One way or another it will be. And we set up a GitHub account, as well as how to use it. And we also set up a local web server, which we can use to do some development on. And I showed you the basics of how to make the URL, how do I want to say it? The basics of an MVC framework where you have a dynamic URL that's getting processed by a program. So there you go. So now is the questions and answers period. And it's basically going to continue for as long as I am able to stay here, which pretty much means until I get hungry enough to go eat dinner. So, alright, yeah, as far as when this is going to be on YouTube, I'm not 100% sure on that, because I probably, I wonder about that. I'll have to call her later and see whether or not she got any pizza. That ought to be interesting. Carl, what on earth is going on here? Why are people sending me pizza? Yeah, but in any case, yeah, here's index.php is really basic right now. All it does is, it's just nothing more than echo testing, which does what you say here, what you see here. So, that's basically it. And, alright, so anyone have any questions so far? Oh, and as far as when it's going to be on YouTube, that's a tough question, because I am probably going to want to do a lot of editing before it gets on YouTube, and that's probably going to be a bit time consuming, so it might not be until after this weekend, to be honest. Yeah, all of the GitHub files will stay part of a public repository. Okay, how do I intend to monetize it? If I was doing this really as a venture of my own and it wasn't in any way connected to the Learn programming stuff, I would probably monetizing it by actually charging for accounts. I'd probably charge, not right away. I mean, you'd want to let the user base get large enough first, but at some point you'd want to maybe charge $5 a month for an account. But in this series of sessions, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to monetize it using advertisement. So Google AdSense, basically. Although it'll still be, it won't take away from the fact that if you were doing this on your own, you could really monetize it however you wanted it to be monetized. And yeah, if you're using basically any web server that runs Apache and PHP, you'll be able to follow this just fine. It doesn't have to be Linux. But, well, one catch on that. The Amazon server I'm going to be setting up is going to be a Linux Amazon server, but Amazon also offers non-Linux servers, so it's really up to you there. But I recommend Especially if you're new to this, just do things the way you see me do them. Oh, and just to show you real quick on this URL, watch what happens if I change it to anything. See, it'll, well, that's funny. Let's see. There. See, no matter what I change it to, it's still going to go to the same URL, but if I want to be a little creative here, watch what happens if I do this. Let's see. Now, instead of echo testing, watch what's going to happen. Now it'll echo the URL because I told it to. And this is the premise of how I'm going to have it parse the URL to look for the different things I want it to look for. So, for example, if I had something like this, oops. Now I could have something that says, okay, find the second word here. Oh, it's accounts. Okay, use the accounts class to proceed from here. Things like that. That's going to be the gist of how this is working later on. Any other questions? And if someone asks a question and I don't answer, just ask it again. You don't need to be running Linux to follow along with me. The only reason you do today is because Amazon was being a bit of a pain and they weren't setting up my account right away. So in the next session, I'm actually going to go through much of the same thing that we did during this session, except we're going to be doing it on Amazon's server. And that will not, whatever operating system you're using won't matter. You can be using Windows or Linux or Mac or whatever. It won't matter. Unfortunately, though, because Amazon says they need hours to approve my new account, well, then we're going to have to wait until tomorrow for that. Yes, it is for free, but they do apparently want you to enter in your credit card details, but only for the purpose of charging you if you go beyond their free tier. But they do offer everything for free. As far as they have a free tier server that you can set up, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be incurring any charges for any of this. Yeah, pretty much. The difference between the virtual machine that I set up for myself and the one that Amazon is going to set up is that this one has a nice graphical interface. The one Amazon is going to set up will not. Although it is possible to set up a virtual server that doesn't have a graphical interface and still give it one that you can access from your home computer through VNC, but that's beyond the scope of this series of tutorials. But it can be done. I've done it before. Yeah, exactly. Make sure you have one T1 micro instance live at any time, and then it's free. I haven't decided on a name for the project yet, and please, even though people might be tempted to contribute names, please don't, because that would take away from the whole, like I said in the disclaimer post on the subreddit, don't give me any advice, because if you do, it makes things tricky where if I implement it, then it just doesn't make it realistic. The whole point of this thing is, this is how someone without any help goes about building something like this. And if I have a lot of people contributing ideas, then the final product will be very different than what it would be if I was doing it by myself, and that wouldn't really be a realistic picture when I'm trying to demonstrate to people this is what it's like when you're building something on your own. How long do I think it'll take me? Well, I'm going to be spending 1 hour. Oh, and correction, I was saying tomorrow's session, but there won't be a session tomorrow. I'm doing this Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm not doing this on Wednesday. So there won't be a session tomorrow. The next session will be on Thursday, which means I've got an extra day to make sure that Amazon actually sets up my account. And yeah, so basically I'm doing this 4 hours per week. And I figure it's going to be maybe 100 hours, but who knows, it might go longer, it might go shorter. And yeah, I will be uploading VODs to YouTube, and I know that that'll be a little while because I've got to do some editing, but I will do that at some point in the near future. So any other questions? I'm going to build my own. So you'll also see the process of building a framework. And yes, the end server will be ran on Amazon's cloud service, not the server I made today. No, I don't have any objection to that. That's fine. I don't have one. I've tried a few, but more just for fun. Generally, anything that I've built, I've built all of the infrastructure for, framework, etc. I haven't tried Node.js, but I have watched a few videos on it. But I don't like JavaScript enough to want to do it server-side and client-side. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. What I might do is go through the video and find the commands that are important and the processes that are important, and maybe condense them into a little tutorial page of sorts. And yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you there. Cake PHP, CodeIgniter. CodeIgniter is actually, I think, a really good framework. Yeah, that's good advice. If someone is going to be wanting to build something rapidly and they're new, then yeah, they should definitely use a framework. And if I was doing this particular project on a true professional capacity, like someone had hired me to do it, I might use different tools and methods than you'll see me use, but this is a for fun project, and so I'm working on it the way I'd work on my own for fun project. I mean, you can use whatever languages you want. You can use Python. You can use whatever you want. But I'm going to be using PHP, And I don't want to say what is or isn't the best choice. Every language has pluses and minuses. I think that the biggest plus for PHP is also its biggest minus, which is PHP is a very easy language. And because it's a very easy language, it is possible to make a lot of horrible mistakes in PHP that you don't really know you've made because it won't even complain. There's a lot of ways that you can write a horrible PHP program that you won't know is a horrible PHP program unless you are skilled and advanced enough in PHP to know that. So if you're going out and hiring people who do PHP programming, you could post an ad, which I've done, and said, hey, I'm looking to hire a PHP programmer, and you get some people apply, and some of them just have no clue what they're doing, but in their mind they do. Whereas in other languages, like say take C for example, that doesn't really happen, because if someone doesn't really understand what they're doing, they're not going to be able to write a C program that compiles, much less that looks like it actually works. And yeah, JavaScript will definitely be a part of this. I'm going to be doing quite a bit of jQuery. And yeah, I mean, you can't really write a modern web application without JavaScript. That won't be server-side, though. That'll be client-side. I'm going to be using MySQL for the database. What I was somewhat tempted to do, even though it would complicate the project a bit, is I was thinking about actually setting up 2 servers at Amazon, one as the web server and one as the database server. It wouldn't be free that way. Of course, someone else would be perfectly able to set up both on one server, but it would also give me a chance to demonstrate some other aspects of IT, like network security, networking in general, how to make things route between servers, how to get servers to communicate to each other, that sort of thing. I haven't decided if I'm going to go that route or not yet. I mean, it won't be that much more expensive on my end. I could always do that later, though, so I'll probably start out with one server regardless. Generally speaking, the majority of my professional time is not building web applications. Having said that, I have built a number of web applications. It's just not something I generally do on a daily basis. If I was going to sit down and build a web application of any general type, yeah, I would definitely use the MVC paradigm. I don't know if there will be a stopping point with the stream. The thing about running any kind of real website is that you have to maintain it. So at some point, you know, maybe it'll be not even a clear boundary, but at some point the amount of time maintaining it might be enough to actually fill a session. And it's hard to say. I mean, at some point I might actually use the revenue it generates to hire someone to do that. It's hard to say. I do a lot of things, but a lot of different contracts prevent me from discussing the specifics. But I will say that everything I do is directly related to IT, to internet business, to programming, that whole thing. But I don't think that I don't think that the companies that I work with would want me to talk about that during a live stream about this. And yes, I will be resuming the C courses, and as far as working from home, that's all I do. Everything I do is from home, except for when I occasionally have to travel on site. But for the most part, I work from home, and I only do traveling maybe a few times a year. And yes, I will resume the C courses. In fact, the plan was tomorrow, since I'm not going to be doing this live stream session, I might actually spend a good chunk of tomorrow fixing up the Computer Science for Everyone site and getting ready to publish some new C tutorials. The delay in resuming the C course is that before I can resume the C course, I have to go through the whole thing myself, and I have to go through all the lessons myself in order to remind myself where I was, what my thought process was, and everything like that. So it's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but I'm definitely going to do it. But yeah, I have every intention of eventually finishing the C course. Yes, assembly is worth learning if for no other reason than just learning it is very interesting and fun. And I wouldn't be qualified to do an assembly language course. And I know that. I could definitely sit down and write something in assembly, just generally speaking. I'm not saying I could sit down and write anything in assembly, but like if I had a project to do and my only option was to do it in assembly, I would definitely be able to get by. But if I was to teach a course on assembly language, I would need to be very much a specialist in fields that I am not a specialist in. Even teaching the C course, I have to spend an enormous amount of time going through specs and documentation to make sure what I'm saying is accurate. C is an extremely technical language, and assembly language is much more so. And I really don't think that a full course on assembly language is a good thing for a beginner. I think that an introductory course on assembly language is great for a beginner, but a full series on assembly language, it maybe not even something that anyone would ever need, but it would definitely be a good thing for someone to have. Well, what I'm going to be using for this entire session is just Vim. That's the text editor here, Vim. You may not want to use Vim. I personally recommend that you learn it because even though there is a learning curve, it makes a lot of things very fast. And if you want to learn assembly language, look for Art of Assembly. That is a fantastic book series. And it even has, I believe, its own mini compiler that comes with it. So yeah, if you want to learn assembly language, definitely check that out. And yeah, I might at some point probably volunteer mods at some point once there's a need for that. Alright everyone, I think I'm going to call it a day now. So, and yeah, as to how I recommend you learn Vim, here's how. When you're in Vim, type :help, and there's a whole Vim tutorial somewhere around here. Let's see. There you go. See where it says tutor? Just go there and select that. And then you, and then I guess you just need to type Vim tutor instead of going through all that. So great, let's do that. Vim tutor. There you go. Okay, that's how you should start learning Vim. Just go through this tutorial. It teaches you everything. It teaches you how to move the cursors, how to look for words, everything. It's a great introductory course to how to learn Vim. Alright, so I'm going to call it a day now, and remember, you can always put posts onto the subreddit, questions, comments, whatever, and I will go ahead and see everybody on Thursday, and meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can't speed up the process of getting this Amazon account working. Alright, so thanks everyone for coming, and see you on Thursday.